So today we're at the Inspiring Children's Foundation. I'm going to spend a couple hours speaking to the young adults here at this community about success and how I became successful, teach them about life, all the mistakes, all the trials and tribulations I went through to reach where I'm at right now in life. So hopefully I can change some lives and inspire the younger generation that you can accomplish anything you want in this world as long as you work hard for it. How's everybody doing? I'm not that crazy as the video.
So why'd you create the Vegas Dave persona?
Okay, so the Vegas Dave persona was actually by mistake. Before social media came out, I did not know what content was, and that's a good thing to bring up. Content, I always tell people content is king. Whoever makes the most content wins. You need to videotape everything. I was very big in the club scene. When I moved here, I always had the prettiest girls, the nice tables, and most people would get their bottles and they'd bring it to them. But what I wanted is when they brought me the bottles, I wanted the girls in the bikinis. I wanted them holding Vegas Dave signs. So everyone knew who I was. I didn't know what I was doing, but I wanted the attention, but I didn't really know that I was branding a name. So when people walk in the club, like, who is that guy? But they say Vegas Dave, well, what does he do? He sells sports picks. What does he do? He's a #1 sports consultant. So it was always a hook for them to find out about me. Does that make sense? So the Vegas Dave brand was an accident, but it was just more of a lifestyle, so people to talk about me. Because I always tell people, love me or hate me, you know my name.
You talk about the macro game versus micro game, and I'm just curious, did you always have a strong micro game? Like, did it always come naturally to you to make those right decisions when no one's looking in all those small moments?
That's a great question. Until I realized that, hey, sports consulting was my shit, and that's how I'm gonna become very wealthy, then the micro game was very easy. Stop going out, stop drinking, in bed by 10, up by 5, studying the games, making a video in the morning, making a video afternoon, making a sales video at night, making content, working. So my micro game, I had no days off for 4 years until this coronavirus hit. I worked on my birthday, New Year's Eve, Christmas Day, Thanksgiving. Holidays are my biggest days because sports are on. So I make my money. So I sacrificed. So my micro game didn't hit till about I was 39, 40 years old. But if I was younger, I'd say wake up early. I'll tell you right now, there's no multimillionaires that sleep in past 6 a.m. I don't know anyone that's successful that sleeps into double-digit numbers. And I write out a plan, like I'm very old school. I write on a piece of paper and pen every day what I'm gonna do. But right now it's all repetition. I know what I'm gonna do from 10 to 11, 11 to 12, 12 to 1. I don't take any minutes off because I always tell people, if you take an hour off, there's someone like me that's gonna be working an hour. You have to be willing to do what 99% of the world isn't willing to do, to be that 1%er. A 1%er makes $464,000 a year. Now I can do that in 1 month.
In your opinion, do you think money buys happiness?
I'm gonna be honest with you, yes. Look at the smile on my face. I do believe, because with money, people that say money can't buy happiness really doesn't have money. You know, you always hear people that say money can't buy you happiness. When you look at them, they really don't have money. I do think money does buy happiness, but ultimate happiness is a combination of everything. Family, significant other, loved ones, if you want to have a child. So it incorporates everything. Life is a lot better with financial freedom. Now, money is not gonna bring you complete happiness, but it makes it a shit ton easier to have freedom. So I do think you have to have a balance of personal love, like with love with your family, love with your friends, a passion, maybe it's your job. I love my job. I'm married to my job. I love what I do. I love working. I love helping people make money. But if I was doing all this shit for 80 hours a week and made no money and was still broke, I wouldn't be as happy. So I think it's a combination of both. But overall, yes, I truly believe, and it might sound shallow, but I'm gonna be real with you, money does add tremendously to being happy. I'm just being honest with you guys.
Earlier you were talking about retirement funds and non-traditional retirement ways to save money for retirement. I was just wondering if you're going to go into more detail about that later on, or?
After the Royals won the World Series, I won $2.3 million. The first investment was buying a villa. I bought the villa for $1 million and now it's worth $2.5 million 5 years later. And I rent it out for $3,000 a night and I get about 15, 20 nights a week. So I'm making, after overhead, about 30 grand a month coming in. So even if I lost all my legs or something happened to me, and I'm in a wheelchair and I can't tell people click the link and buy my picks and move on social media, I can still make 30 grand a month, 40 grand a month as a retired person. The thing I was trying to teach people is the thing outside the box. Because if you invest in a 401k, who are you giving that money to? You don't know who's behind the closed doors. You don't know who that dude is. Maybe he's fighting with his wife. Maybe he has a drug addiction. Maybe he was at the club all night. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. You're trusting someone you never met or shook their hand to invest your hard-earned money for your retirement. Don't you think it'd be smarter to put the trust in yourself and do the due diligence? If you're gonna buy stocks, do the research how you did with that girl, find a stock that you believe in and have reasons why it's good, why it's bad, and then diversify. So outside the box, it could be real estate. For me, I bought Birkin bags, I bought baseball cards, different items, land, real estate. So if you're to answer your question, if I invest in stocks or bonds, I would want to educate myself and invest in the stocks that I believed in. I'd rather do the work myself.
My biggest takeaway would be when he said to not care what other people think, not to give a shit. When he said that, that really spoke to me.
Well, I thought it was interesting to see the difference because in the beginning, he shows this very flamboyant lifestyle, and then later he kind of goes on to show that that's not completely him and there is another side. That's the hook. Like the flamboyant lifestyle, that's what's pulling people in, and then he wants them to listen and hear kind of the real message.
At the end of the day, if you believe in what you're doing, and if you're doing what you know is right, then who cares? And the role.
But if I'm being completely honest, I looked him up on Instagram before this, and I thought he was the fakest. I was like, who is this person flashing dollars, with a super arrogant caption? So I totally prejudged him as he spoke about. It's a great lesson because you should never do that, and he was nothing like that.